All right, today we're going somewhere really special. We're heading high up into the mountains of northern Italy. And this isn't just any trip, it's a story about patience, a little bit of luck, and finding something absolutely breathtaking that was, believe it or not, hiding in plain sight for years.
And here we are. Just look at this place. This is where our story starts, in these absolutely stunning alpine meadows near a town called Folgaria. And for years, this very landscape held an incredible secret. I mean, it was right there, just waiting to be found. The naturalist who stumbled upon this scene, a guy named Cristini, he had the perfect word for it. He called it a small Sempervivum paradise. Now, paradise is a strong word, right? So what on earth did he find that was so special? Okay, so to really get why this discovery was so huge, we've got to go back a bit and understand the hunt itself. See, for years, Christiani had been exploring this very area, always searching for one specific plant. And this right here is the star of our show. It's called Sempervivum tectorum, but you probably know it as the common houseleek. These things are incredible. They're these tough, beautiful succulents known for being super resilient. I mean, they can grow almost anywhere. You often see them just clinging to rocks or old stone walls. Now, this part is really key to the whole story. For all the time Cristini had spent searching in this region, he'd only ever found tiny, scattered groups of these plants. Finding them was a big deal, a rare treat, definitely not something you'd see every day. And his previous finds really paint the picture, you know? He'd find a few little rosettes on the outskirts of a city called Rovereto, or maybe some growing on the ruins of an old World War I fort. Another time, he found a small group on a steep rock face right by a road. See the pattern? They were always these small, isolated finds. Little victories for sure, but nothing major. And this, wow, this visual just says it all. On the left, that's what he expected to find, a typical discovery, a few plants tucked away in a crevice. But on the right, that's the kind of vast, open meadow he was about to check out. You can imagine his expectations were pretty low, based on years of finding just the stuff on the left. Okay, and this is the turning point. This is where everything changes. Just one decision, on one random day, was about to flip everything he thought he knew completely upside down. So let's set the scene. It's August 2014. After years of finding basically dribs and drabs, Cristini decides, you know what? I'm going to go explore this new meadow I saw. He went in with the mindset that he'd have to search behind every single stone just to find one or two. But oh boy, reality had a huge surprise in store for him. So what did he find? What was actually waiting for him in that ordinary-looking field? He found this. I mean, just look at it. Not a couple of plants, not a small patch, a whole field, just carpeted with them. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of flowering houseleeks with their tall stalks shooting up like some kind of miniature forest. He had literally walked right into the thing he'd been searching for all those years, but on a scale he couldn't have even dreamed of. This was it. He had found his paradise. He actually tried to get a count and came up with over 300. 300 flowering stalks. And get this, that doesn't even count all the little rosettes, the non-flowering ones that were hidden down in the grass. The sheer number of plants was just mind-blowing. And he started noticing how they grew. They were in these big, happy clusters, usually hanging out near stones dotted around the meadow. It wasn't weird at all to see a group of like 20 or 30 rosettes all huddled together, sending up what looked like a whole bouquet of flowers. You might be wondering, how could a place like this go unnoticed for so long? Well, the secret was the grass. See, for most of the year, those little rosettes are totally hidden. It's only for a short time, when they're flowering, that they send up those tall stalks and reveal themselves to the world. But this whole thing was more than just a pretty picture. As Cristini started to look closer, the meadow began to give up some of its secrets, some really fascinating little mysteries. Okay, so here is something weird he noticed. There was this clear, sharp line. On one side of a fence, where the meadow was protected, there were houseleeks everywhere. But on the other side, where cattle grazed, nothing, not a single one. It seems pretty clear they could only thrive where they were left alone. And then there was another puzzle. All these plants were growing packed together, right? But for some reason, their flowers ranged in color from pure white all the way to this deep, vibrant pink. Why? Was it something in their genes? Something in the soil? It was just another cool little mystery hiding in this paradise. And it turns out, the houseleeks weren't the only ones at the party. Cristini found a whole neighborhood of other tough succulents sharing the space. We're talking different kinds of sedum, some saxifraga. The whole place was just this incredibly rich and diverse little world.
And here's a great shot of that. You've got our star, the Sempervivum, living right next to these amazing bright yellow carpets of another plant, Sedum acre. The whole meadow was like a patchwork quilt of different shapes and colors. But beyond all the science and the plant counting, what this was really about was that feeling of just stumbling onto something truly special, a moment of pure, unfiltered wonder. Cristini said the meadow was just buzzing with life. Literally. The air was thick with the sound of bees, just going about their business, flying from one flower to the next. It was proof that this hidden spot wasn't just beautiful, it was healthy and thriving. And he described the moment so perfectly. He said you could just hear the wind moving through the flower stalks, and then, breaking the silence, the lonely moo of a cow off in the distance. It just sounds so peaceful, doesn't it? An absolutely magical moment. And that really leaves you with something to think about. After all those years of searching in all the usual spots, he found this paradise just by deciding to check out a new patch of ground. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What amazing things might be hiding just off your own beaten path, just waiting for you to find them.